Hello, welcome to our physics video tutorial that is powered by Noble Mind Science Tutors Online. My name is Otobo Michael, and for this particular video we want to start the introduction to the subject matter physics. As we said in our introductory video, we said that we are going to start from the basis. We assume that the student is just being introduced to physics. So we're going to start from the introduction to physics. And as I said in our intro video, I want to encourage you, please get your writing materials, because this video series is going to start from the very basis, and then you need to have your notes, because the note that you will have will cover your whole course curriculum right from your first year in senior secondary school. So I will encourage you to get your notebooks, get your writing materials, and then begin to put down your notes as we progress in this video. Alright, so if you have not subscribed to this channel, please subscribe and then click on the notification button there. Once you subscribe and you notify and you click on the notification button, whenever we upload a new video, YouTube will notify you that a new video has been uploaded in Noble Mind Science Tutors Online channel. Alright, so this is the main subject. Introduction to physics. So what is physics? Physics is defined as a branch of science that deals with matter, energy, and their interactions. We know what matter is from your junior secondary school, even from your primary school. You know that matter is anything that occupies space and has weight. And on a daily basis, matter is always interacting with energy, different forms of energy. So physics deals with that branch, that part of science that has to do with the interaction of matter with energy. Physics can also be defined as a science that studies the structure of matter and the interaction between the fundamental constraints of the observable universe. Is the same thing, interaction of matter with energy. This is the basic definition of physics. So in this particular video, what you are going to learn is that we are going to learn one, introduction. We have started the introduction to physics. We're also going to look at the importance of physics, and then career opportunities in physics. Why do you want to study physics? What are the benefits of you being a physics student? So we'll look at some career opportunities in physics, and then we'll delve into the main beginning topics, fundamentals and derived units. Yes, there's no way you can study physics without you being thoroughly grounded in unit analysis. So we'll start with fundamentals and derived units. After that, we'll also look at fundamentals and derived quantities, and then what are the difference between fundamentals and derived units, and what are the difference between fundamental and derived quantities. So this is what this video is going to talk about. So I want you to just pick your writing materials and begin to put down your notes. While you're putting down your notes, please listen very attentively, because this is the foundation of physics. So what are some of the importance of physics as a subject? The study of physics enables us to acquire scientific knowledge and skills. Yes, that is what physics does for us. And physics contributes to technological advancement. Another thing that physics does for us is that physics is important in the training of medical doctors. If you want to be a chemist, you want to be a computer scientist, you want to be an engineer, any science-based subject, you must study physics. So if you are preparing for JAM, you will see that physics is a core subject in any of the sciences: chemistry, biochemistry, microbiology, all the engineering fields, medicine. you need physics. So physics is very, very important. It is very, very important. That is why I want you to pay good attention in this video series that we'll be enjoying. Physics is also important in medical diagnosis and treatment of disease conditions. Yes, you know, medical doctors study physics a lot. Most of the equipments they use are physics based, so physics is important in the treatment of disease conditions. The knowledge of physics is a major player in telecommunication, satellites, and space research. This one is a common knowledge. We're not talking about GSM without physics. We're not talking about satellite without physics. Anything that has to do with invention and discovery, physics is right here as a core subject. Physics helps us to carry out new inventions that will make the world great. So when you're talking about all the inventors in your science classes, you know that physics is the backbone. Knowledge of physics helps us to understand the earth and our natural environment better. That is just what physics is all about. It helps us to solve numerous life problems using technology. So you see that without physics, there is nothing like technology. So generally speaking, physics is the backbone of all scientific discoveries and inventions. So you cannot talk about inventions without talking about physics. So what are some of the career opportunities that lie ahead of for you? Okay, you are a physics student, so what are your career opportunities? So as a physics graduate or somebody that studied physics, or you take physics in your final examinations, these are some of the career opportunities that are available for you. Physics, engineering physics, medical physics, you have material physics, geophysics, biophysics. You can become a lecturer in a university or any other institution. You can become a research fellow in a space institutes like others. You have NASA and all that. You can become a medical doctor with your knowledge in physics. IT consultancy, that one is just there. Electronics, engineering, laser engineering, and the list is endless. The list is endless. So career opportunities in physics are many for you to enjoy. So please take the study of physics very seriously. It is to all your benefits. So this is the cocoa. As I said, you cannot study with physics without understanding what units are. And these are some of the secrets that some students don't know. You solve a question, you solve a problem, fine, you get the right answer, but what about the unit? Is your unit correct? And this is very, very important. So unit analysis is very key for you to be thoroughly grounded in the knowledge of physics. So we're starting with fundamental units and quantities. So what are fundamental units and what are fundamental quantities? So when you say something is fundamental, I mean that thing is basic. It is key. It is basic and it is key. So fundamental units, these are basic units of measurement upon which other units depends. Any other units that you have in the universe, they depend on the fundamental units. Without the fundamental units, there are no other units. So examples of fundamental units are, you have your meter, you have the seconds, the kilogram, the amp, and others. So these are the basic fundamental units. For your SI unit, you have kilogram, meters, and seconds. Yes, the basic SI units are kilogram, meters, and seconds. So these are your fundamental units, and it is good that you familiarize yourself with them, because sometimes you see these questions in your objective question, even in WAEC and in JAM. These questions are always like number 1, between number 1 to 5. You see which of the following are fundamental units and fundamental quantities. And sometimes when you are in exam condition, you want to even forget what is a fundamental unit. So please get yourself familiar with these units. They are very key, because as you progress, everything about physics is units. It's about units. So please get yourself familiar with these units. So that is fundamental unit. What about fundamental quantities? Fundamental quantities, they are the basic quantities that provide the standard unit of measurement. So when we talk about fundamental units, a fundamental unit is used to measure a fundamental quantity. Like meter is used to measure length, which is a quantity. Mass is used to measure kilogram. Kilogram is used to measure mass. Mass is the quantity, kilogram is the unit. And then second is used to measure time. Time is the quantity, and then second is the unit. You also have the unit for current, which is a quantity, and the unit for current is the amp. You have the unit for temperature, it's a quantity. The unit for temperature is the Kelvin. So fundamental quantities, that are the basic standard quantities that the fundamental unit depends. So basically, we have these fundamental units and their quantities, and this is what I just discussed now. So you have, these are the units, and then these are the quantities, and then these are the abbreviations for each of the units. So length is measured with meter, and then the unit of length is meter, and then the abbreviation is small m. The unit for mass is kilogram, and then the abbreviation is the kg. Unit for second is time. The unit for time is second, and then the abbreviation is small s. The unit for current is ampere. The abbreviation is I. Unit for temperature is Kelvin. Abbreviation is K. So these are fundamental units and fundamental quantities. Please be familiar with this unit, especially the kilogram, meters, and second. These are these units. These are the basic SI units that you need to be familiar with. So, derived units and quantities. Unlike the fundamental units, derived units are non-fundamentals, and they are derived from the fundamental units. When you say something is derived, means it is gotten from something else, right? So which means that derived units are gotten from another set of units. So derived units are gotten from fundamental units. They are not fundamental units. So how are they obtained? They are obtained by combining fundamental units, right? You get them by combining the fundamental units, either by multiplication or by division and all that. When we get to unit analysis, we're going to talk more on that. But examples of derived units, you have the unit for area. You know that area is length times breadth, and length and breadth, they are unit for distance. So you see the unit for length and breadth is the meter. So you have meters times meter, you have your meter squared. The same volume, unit for volume, or the formula for volume is length times breadth times height. So and the unit for length, breadth, and height is the meters, because it has to do with distance. So you have meters times meters times meters, and that gives you meters cubed. So these are derived, and you get them from the fundamental units. Okay, then derived quantities, just like the derived units, you get them from fundamental units. The same thing, derived quantities, they are quantities that you obtain from combination of fundamental quantities. They depend on the fundamental quantities. So without the fundamental quantities, you cannot get your derived quantities, right? So we have a table below that will give you the summary of what I just talked about. So here we are. Initially I mentioned area. So area is actually a derived quantity, and then the unit for area is meter squared, and you can derive it. I've mentioned that before. Length times breadth is equals to area, and that is meter squared. Volume, the unit for volume is meters cube. So you can derive that. You have length times breadth times height each of these ones, their units are meters, meters, meters. So meters times meters times meters gives you meters cube. And speed is also a derived quantity because you get it from a combination of fundamental quantities, and the quantities are distance and then time. Distance and time, distance has to do with length, so the unit is meters and time is second. So the derived unit for speed is meters per second. So you can either write it this way or you write it this way. Same thing for velocity. This velocity, the symbol is v, and velocity too has to do with distance too, but velocity is different from speed. The velocity has to do with displacement all over time, and the unit for displacement is meters, and that for time is seconds. So the unit for velocity is meters per second. You can write it this way or that way. Then what about acceleration? Acceleration is a, and it has to do with change in velocity all over time. Change in velocity all over time. So you have the unit for velocity, which is meters per second, and then all over time. If you do that simple calculation, you have meters per second squared. So you can just do that. Velocity is meters per seconds, and then multiplied by 1 over s. So sorry for my distance. So that gives you meters all over s raised to power 2. So that gives you meters per second squared. So that's the unit. That is the unit for acceleration e. That is the unit for acceleration e. Okay. So these are some examples of our derived units. So what are some of the difference between derived units and fundamental units? So basically, these are some of the difference between derived units and fundamental units. So fundamental units, they are standard unit of measurement. That's what I mentioned before. The kilogram, meters, and second, they are the standard. They are the SI units. SI units, standard units of measurement. So, but derived unit, they are not standard unit of measurement. Fundamental unit, they are generally accepted all over the world, while derived units, not all of them are generally accepted. Then fundamental units, they are known as SI units. Yes, they are known as SI units. So, and then derived units, they are known as they are not known as SI units. Okay, then fundamental quantities and derived quantities. Fundamental quantities, they are generally accepted quantities, while derived quantities, they are just accepted. Then they are based on international system, while derived quantities, they are formulated from international system. Fundamental quantities can stand alone, while derived quantities cannot stand alone. So these are some of the difference and between derived and fundamental quantities and units. So thank you very much for viewing this video. Please, if you have not subscribed, subscribe to this channel, click on the notification button, and then you'll be notified when we upload a new video. Thank you.